days, which is why you've seen no videos from me. I'm very sorry. I've been trying to record this video now for an hour and 15 minutes, and every time I do it, I cock it up somehow and have to go back to the beginning. So I thought, rather than just keep, messing things up and frustrating myself, I'll go live, I'll do it live, and then I'll edit it and drop it as need be. And I'm just checking, making sure that I am live, because I'm doing things through Restream, which is changed, and I can see that I have done it. I'm just going to the this video now to the chat, so I can say hello to everybody. Right, so got 20 watching, so everybody's there. Say hi in the chat, so I know that you can hear me. Thanks very much, Glenn. Glenn says hi. Okay, so like I say, I'm very sorry. I've got the flu, and that's the reason that you haven't had any videos of me since I've come back from Amsterdam. While I was in Amsterdam, okay. So while I was away the last few days, this happened. This is Robert Mueller giving testimony to two different committees in America a few days ago. Now, I think it's fair to say, it was 7 hours long. I've watched over an hour of clips so far. But I think it's fair to say it was a disaster. And a disaster for anybody who was still clinging on to the notion that somehow Donald Trump was Vladimir Putin's puppet and an agent of the Kremlin. Now, I just want to say a couple of things here. First of all, to all those people who were sharing memes on Facebook and Twitter saying, oh, it's Mueller time, he's going to get you, Trump. Don't you feel a little bit silly now? And to all those supposedly progressive reporters, and I'm thinking one in particular, who for 2 years has been saying, TikTok, Trump, TikTok. Do you think there's been any self-reflection from these people in the media at all for getting it so wrong? Of course not. They'll just move the goalposts and carry on regardless. That's why you come to me. Now, I never believed this Russia nonsense to begin with. The reason is twofold. First of all, it's preposterous. The American president being in the pocket of a foreign entity, it being Russian. Come on, you from spy novels this stuff is. But most of all, I never believed it because it was based upon a false premise, and a premise that was unproven, and a premise that every time they did try and prove it, backfired on them, and they turned out that they were lying all the time. And the premise is that Russia hacked the DNC and gave the DNC's emails to WikiLeaks. No, we've never seen the evidence. And believe me, if that happened, they would have the evidence. The FBI, the CIA, they would have the evidence. They had it a few years ago with the Sony hack. Do you remember? And they said, yeah, it was North Korea. They proved that. They brought it and showed you. Yeah, the reason they can prove it is because of a program called X-Keyscore. I'll go into that in another video, but if it happened, they could prove it, and they didn't, which is why you had to add the nonsense. 17 agencies, which then had to be walked back, and well, it's 4 agencies. No, it's not. It's just handpicked people from Clapper who lied in front of the Senate. It's nonsense. The whole report was nonsense, which is possibly why Robert Mueller, for 7 hours, bungled and ummed and ahed and just stumbled his way to the finish line and looked like, he looked like he was ill. Let's face it. He looked like he was barely there. Some people have said that was all part of the act, but that's what it was. It was a theatre. Now, as I grew to know more details over the last few years, what I figured out was, remember I wrote a book on this, but what I figured out was, hey, you know what? This hasn't got anything to do with truth, this Russiagate thing, but I tell you what it does do. It certainly takes the heat off the DNC for rigging their own primary, doesn't it? It certainly takes the heat off the DNC for doing what, those emails proved, those factual emails, remember. Nobody's contesting that those emails weren't the truth. But what it does is let the DNC off the hook for rigging their own primary, and it takes the focus elsewhere. Has there been any self-reflection from the DNC in the last 2 years? Of course not. None. None at all. They're doing it, the same things again now, trying to move the goalposts so progressives can't get on the debate stage, and they're doing it again. You know? So it doesn't take a genius to figure out that this Russiagate report was just going to be a dud. And that's exactly what it was. And now we're getting to the situation where Donald Trump is going to use this for his re-election campaign. And what the Democrats have done here is give him an absolute gift on a platter, on a silver platter, to say, there you go, Donald Trump. There's what you run your re-election campaign on. And believe me, if he gets a second term, and you know what? The more I think about it, the more I think, he's gonna get a second term. Let me tell you something. Despite what they will say in public, the Democrats are just fine with that. Now, I'm going to show you, the title of the video is what the media will never tell you about Russiagate. Hopefully, I've told you a few things that you realise, our media have never told me that if you're listening to me for the first time. But this clip right here, this 5-minute clip I'm going to show you, it's never going to be shown. The Mail on Sunday are never going to do an expose on this. The Guardian are not going to kick up a stink about this and say, what's going on here with this guy? But this line of questioning, this 5 minutes from, I think it's Jim Jordan from Ohio, Congressman from Ohio, is gold. And it should just put everything to bed with regards to Russia hacking democracy or whatever it is that they're trying to still say in this country and in America. It should put it to bed. If we had a fourth estate, believe me, it would never have got this far. But take a listen to this 5 minutes. I'm going to play it all the way through as well. I'm not going to start it. I'm going to play it all the way through. Take a listen. This is just incredible.
The gentleman from Ohio.
Director, the FBI interviewed Joseph Mifsud on February 10th, 2017. In that interview, Mr. Mifsud lied. You point this out on page 193, volume 1. Mifsud denied. Mifsud also falsely stated. In addition, Mifsud omitted. 3 times he lied to the FBI, yet you didn't charge him with the crime.
Excuse me, did you say one? I'm sorry, did you say 193?
Volume 1, 193. He lied 3 times. You pointed out in the report. Why didn't you charge him with the crime?
I can't get into internal deliberations with regard who would or would not be
charge a lot of other people for making false statements. Let's remember this. In 2016, the FBI did something they probably haven't done before. They spied on 2 American citizens associated with a presidential campaign, George Papadopoulos and Carter Page. With Carter Page, they went to the FISA court. They used the now famous dossier as part of the reason they were able to get the warrant and spy on Carter Page for a better part of a year. With Mr. Papadopoulos, they didn't go to the court. They used human sources. All kinds of, from about the moment Papadopoulos joins the Trump campaign, you got all these people all around the world starting to swirl around him. Names like Hal Downer, Mifsud, Thompson, meeting in Rome, London, all kinds of places. The FBI even sent a lady posing as somebody else, went by the name Azra Turk, even dispatched her to London to spy on Mr. Papadopoulos. In one of these meetings, Mr. Papadopoulos is talking to a foreign diplomat, and he tells the diplomat, Russians have dirt on Clinton. That diplomat then contacts the FBI, and the FBI opens an investigation based on that fact. You point this out on page 1 of the report. July 31st, 2016, they open the investigation based on that piece of information. Diplomat tells Papadopoulos, Papadopoulos tells a diplomat, Russians have dirt on Clinton. Diplomat tells the FBI. What I'm wondering is, who told Papadopoulos?
That's key. I'm going to stop it there. I know someone's going to play for that. But remember, Papadopoulos told Mifsud, who told the FBI. But who told Papadopoulos?
How'd he find out?
I can't get into the evidentiary file.
Yes, you can, because you wrote about it. You gave us the answer. Page 192 of the report, you tell us who told him. Joseph Mifsud. Joseph Mifsud's the guy who told Papadopoulos. The mysterious professor who lives in Rome and London, teaches in 2 different universities. This is the guy who told Papadopoulos. He's the guy who starts it all. And when the FBI interviews him, he lies 3 times, and yet you don't charge him with a crime. You charge Rick Gates for false statements. You charge Paul Manafort for false statements. You charge Michael Cohen with false statements. You charge Michael Flynn, a 3-star general, with false statements. But the guy who puts the country through this whole saga, starts it all for 3 years we've lived this now, he lies, and you guys don't charge him. And I'm curious as to why.
Well, we can't get into it, and it's obvious, I think, that we can't get into charging decisions.
When the FBI interviewed him in February, FBI interviews him in February.
Ooh.
When the special counsel's office interviewed Mifsud, did he lie to you guys?
Can't get into that.
Did you interview Mifsud?
Can't get into that.
Is Mifsud Western intelligence or
Can't get
Russian
into that.
intelligence?
Can't get into that.
A lot of things you can't get into. What's interesting, you can charge 13 Russians no one's ever heard of, no one's ever seen, no one's ever going to hear of them, no one's ever going to see them. You can charge them. You can charge all kinds of people who are around the president with false statements. But the guy who launches the guy who puts this whole story in motion, you can't charge him. I think that's amazing.
I'm not certain I agree with your characterizations.
Well, I'm reading from your report. Mifsud told Papadopoulos. Papadopoulos tells the diplomat tells the FBI opens the investigation July 31st, 2016, and here we are 3 years later, July of 2019, the country's been put through this, and the central figure who launches it all lies to us, and you guys don't hunt him down and interview him again, and you don't charge him with a crime. Now, here's the good news. Here's the good news. The president was falsely accused of conspiracy. The FBI does a 10-month investigation, and James Comey, when we deposed him a year ago, told us at that point they had nothing. You do a 22-month investigation. At the end of that 22 months, you find no conspiracy. And what's the Democrats want to do? They want to keep investigating. They want to keep going. Maybe a better course of action is to figure out how the false accusation started. Maybe it's to go back and actually figure out why Joseph Mifsud was lying to the FBI. And here's the good news. Here's the good news. That's exactly what Bill Barr's doing. And thank goodness for that. That's exactly what the Attorney General and John Durham are doing. They're going to find out why we went through this three-year saga and get to the bottom of it.
And that is how Trump is going to get re-elected. That's his re-election campaign. This investigation into how it all started. And you know what? When it all comes out, it's going to be hard for people to vote Democrat. Because let's face it, the Democrats, all they want to do at the moment is more investigations and keep going and keep going. Why? Because while they're doing that, there's still no self-reflection. There's still nobody asking, hold on a minute, you rigged your own primary. There's still nothing, no repercussions for them for that. Couple of things there. Jim Jordan, he had 5 minutes, and that was 5 minutes and 8 seconds. He timed that perfect. It was great. But the one question that really did jump out to me there was, is Mifsud Russian intelligence or Western intelligence? I can't get into that, he says. Joseph Mifsud lied 3 times to the FBI, but wasn't charged. Papadopoulos went to jail for lying. Went to jail. He's out now, but he went to jail. So did Michael Flynn, a 3-star general, Rick Gates, and Alex van der Zwaan. All for lying to the FBI. All of those. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 3 who went to jail for lying. Amongst other things, but lying was one of the things on their term. The FBI charged 13 Russians and another 12 Russian officials for this Russian troll farm thing, which, by the way, he actually had to testify in a court, Mueller did, that he had no evidence whatsoever that this Russian troll farm was working on behalf of the Russian government. There was no links there at all. He had to testify that in court. But they charged all these officials. They charged Michael Flynn, Rick Gates, Alex van der Zwaan. They've even charged, Roger Stone. But not the guy who started it all, who we know lied 3 times to the FBI because it's in their own goddamn report. Why not? Why not? Why are they not going after this Joseph Mifsud? Why? Perhaps this will give you an idea. This was, well, March 22nd, 2018. Now, it says Defend Assange campaign, but as we know, if you follow this channel, that was actually Julian Assange's Twitter account. Then he's had to switch it over to the Defend Assange campaign. So all of Julian Assange's previous tweets are still there. And here's one he sent out on March 22nd, 2018. I think this is 5 days. It's just before Ecuador cut off his internet connection. Now, we know that this was all at the request of the UK and the US, putting pressure on Ecuador and then bribing them to do this. But it all came after he tweeted that out. There is something very odd about the Joseph Mifsud story and the role the UK, role of the UK in the 2016 presidential election. Let me move this across here so it's better. That's what he tweeted out. And then he was silenced just 5 days later. This is, what else? Look who's, here's Joseph Mifsud on the left there. Look who he's with. Look who he's with, it's Boris Johnson. Isn't that strange? Eh? Isn't that weird? Boris Johnson met with Mifsud in 19th of October 2017. That's from Politico. I've read that article. Politico just meant to come on trying to say that it's all Russians again. But as we can tell, this is, yeah. This doesn't look like Russian intelligence to me. Does it to you? Mifsud worked in Riyadh for a think tank run by former head of Saudi intelligence, Prince Turki Al Faisal. According to, is that the BBC? Mifsud and Claire Smith of the UK Joint Intelligence Committee and 8-year member of the UK Security Vetting Panel both trained Italian security services in the Link University in Rome and appear to be both present in this phone archive. It was Alexander Downer in London, closely associated with Hakliut, now Holdingham Group, a private MI6 outfit that met with Papadopoulos. The FBI used Alexander Downer's statement about Mifsud to open the FISA interception warrants against the Trump camp, and hence how this officially all began. It does look like this started unofficially times before with these mysterious FBI people popping up like Stefan Halper, etc. Before that July the 31st, which is when this investigation was meant to have started. And we'll scroll down again. It was the former UK MI6 officer Christopher Steele who compiled the Smithfield Steele dossier funded by Hillary Clinton. The UK government approved of giving the Steele dossier to the Obama FBI. It was the UK government that issued a press suppression notice, a DA notice about Steele. As I've reported many times, Steele used former UK ambassador Sir Andrew Wood to funnel the dossier to the Trump-hating Senator John McCain, seemingly deliberately moving the handover out of London to Canada. This is stuff that Julian Assange all wrote on Twitter just before they cut off his internet. You tell me whether it's a coinkydink or not. The UK government TV then verified the dossier. Verified the dossier. UK government TV, I assume he means the BBC there, yeah. The reporter, Paul Wood, a reporter who's been repeatedly operated within UK military and intelligence covert operation zones. And then at the very bottom, there's this. CIA Director John Brennan. CIA Director John Brennan. Multiple countries tried to influence US election. Here it is. Move this over so you can have it all in full. This is what he said.
Do you believe that other countries were involved in attempting to influence us?
I'd have to think about that, and I want to talk to you about that in closed session.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman.
This Russiagate fiasco, it should have died a death a long time ago. If we had anything close to an operating fourth estate, it would have. It wouldn't have even got off the ground. But remember, this investigation started 3 years ago because Joseph Mifsud, told the FBI that Papadopoulos had said the Russians have dirt on Clinton, when it was Mifsud that gave him that information in the first place. Don't you think that that's an important piece of information? You know, one that really people should know about this investigation? Don't you think it should be like, you know, that should be the headline right now in the newspapers? But what is the headline? The headline is, I saw in The Guardian, Mueller's report did not completely exonerate Trump. You're not there to prove innocence. You're there to prove guilt. I want to know why the British press, in fact, scratch that. I want the British press to start talking about Joseph Mifsud. I want them to start asking questions about it. Because you know what? The more I look into this, the more I have looked into it over the last 3 years, we shouldn't have called it Russiagate. We should have called it Great Britain Gate, or UK Gate, or Theresa May Gate, or Conservative Gate, or something like that. Because every time I start looking into it and investigating it, all the roads lead back to London. All of them. They all lead back to London and MI6 and Christopher Steele and Joseph Mifsud. The government are treating the UK populace like mushrooms. They are keeping you in the dark and they are feeding you on BS. They are not to be trusted. And the fact that they are not talking about this the way I have just talked about it and explained to you all of these facts, irrefutable facts I have just given you. The fact that they are not framing it that way just should tell you that, you know what, they are the real problem here. They're covering it up. They're doing the bidding of the establishment. And they're certainly not there to inform the general public, that's for sure. But the question is, Joseph, as Jim Jordan asked there, I suppose, is Joseph Mifsud Western intelligence or Russian intelligence? Robert Mueller didn't want to go into that. I do. I want to find out exactly what happened. Don't you? I tried to do that as best as I could, guys. I'm sorry. I've really recovering from the flu. Wasn't my best effort, I know. But let's go to the chat now. I want to quickly. I'm gonna say go to the chat. I had some super chats the other day while I was live, while I was out in the park, and because I was on my mobile, I never got round to them. So I just want to go into the super chats and just to say thank you to the people who sent me the super chats the other day. It's really appreciated. I can't do this without your help, everyone. So thank you very much. Evelyn Ubb says the rabbit hole is deep, but when it comes to the UK, it is a cesspit starting in Parliament. It's eye-opening. It really is. It's eye-opening. There have been times where I've felt like I've been losing it, especially over the last couple of months. There really have been times where I've felt like I'm losing it because there's so much disinformation out there right now. And you know what? It's not coming from Russia. It's coming from the UK. The disinformation is coming from the UK, not from Russia. People need to know. We need a new media in this country. We really do. Because the one we've got is well, certainly not. It's certainly not there to inform and to hold power accountable. The Power's PR firm at the moment. It's I don't even know where I can find my previous super chats. Here we go. Let's go on to the old. Yeah. So yeah, there were a few people who sent me super chats the other day. Darren Levy was one. Thanks very much, Darren. Sadly, Corbyn declaring for Remain in Parliament against Bojo signs his death knell, I fear. Bojo has momentum behind him of being against the AU. Stick a pin in that, Darren. I know people are very unhappy about Corbyn declaring for Remain. I'm going to do a video about it. I don't think Corbyn's toast. Not at all. In fact, I think the future at the moment looks quite good for Corbyn, but you know the media is so co-opted by the establishment in this country, then he's got an uphill battle. So yeah, thanks very much for your donation, mate. O'Mahony, thanks very much for your donation too. Send through a super chat. And Retro Pilot Truth Seeker, hi mate. Have a drink on and meal on me and take care. Thanks very much for that. I will do, buddy. Yeah, I sorry I went live on this. Hopefully I got all the information across that I wanted to. I was trying to do that video, trying to record it, and I just kept messing up because I've got the flu and I can't concentrate. So hopefully I covered everything correctly in it. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who does support the channel. I cannot do this without your support. Even if it's $1 a month or £1 a month, please do it. I've got 17,000 subscribers. If just 1 in 10 of you sent $2 a month, I wouldn't have to worry about, you know, paying bills, etc. And I'm not here to make money, and I'm not here to be rich and whatever. And I know some people will say, oh, he's begging again, blah, 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 blah. Listen, I've got bills to pay, and this is a full-time gig, and it's hard work. It's a public service. It's a public service that, you know what, you're not getting from the media right now. Have you got a Sky subscription? You know, you might be buying their Sky subscription for their sports, but you get the news package with it as well, don't you? You know, you've got to support independent media, because otherwise we're not going to get to the truth about anything. And once we get to that stage, forget 1984. That'll be a fairy story compared to how bad things will be, how authoritarian things will get if we don't actually revive a real fourth estate that is holding power accountable and not just, you know, publishing whatever MI6 want you to put out next. It's preposterous. They just put out these leaks from within the intelligence community in MI5 and MI6 and never check them. Never. They just put them out as truth. This is what they said. Is it true? I don't know. This is what that's a PR company, not a news corporation. Like I say, £2 a month. If just 10% of you who subscribe to the channel did that, then I'd be able to survive, and I wouldn't have to end every video with please send me money. I hate it. I hate it. But I can't do it without your support. I know it's going to send me loopy. I know it is. I know it's going to send me mental. But I'm not going to let it send me homeless as well. And I hope you understand that. Corbyn wants his deal, not the Tories, says Glenn Perry. Yeah, see, that's the thing with Corbyn. He can't go for, he can't say, yeah, he's coming out for leave as well, because then he knows what sort of leave he's going to get. He's going to get as bad a one as possible from the Tories, and he's going to, you know, this is good. Jeremy Corbyn is not a Remainer. He's not pro-EU. Look back through his history. I have. Just look back through his history. Look at what he said in the past. Look at who his heroes are. He's not a Remainer. He actually doesn't. He's not for the EU at all. But he is in a really tough place at the moment. Personally, I think he could have done much, much better. And been critical of him, I think, when it's been warranted. But yeah, I'll do a video on Corbyn and the situation at the moment. You know, it does look like there's going to be a general election before the end of the year. And if that's the case, then these deselections in Labour are going to be crucial. And if there's 70 of them up for deselection, like one report said, you're going to need all of those deselected. And not only are you going to need all of them deselected, the people coming in, you're going to have to make sure that they are progressive and not another Blairite. And from what I can tell, in some instances, that's all you're going to get, is another Blairite. So, yeah, I'll look into it more in depth. I'm very sorry over the last couple of days you haven't had much from me. Obviously, well, over the last week, really, I was away in Amsterdam for my birthday that my girlfriend bought me, thank you very much, and had a wonderful time, and then come back and just was on my ass from the flu. So that's why you haven't had any videos from me over the last few days. I'll get Retro Pilot Truth Seeker says status quo have a thermometer chart gauge to show how many patients. Yeah, I understand some people want to go down that route and what have you, but I don't like asking for money. I don't. None of us do. I don't. But you know, without your support, we're gonna go away, and you know, the authoritarianism, it's gonna win, and you're gonna lose voices. Just as simple as that. You know, they are crushing us right now, crushing us on YouTube and independent media. We need your help. Boring, where's Mueller stuff, said Blind Wolf. Just go back. Go back. This is live. You can go back and look at the Mueller stuff that I did. Blind Wolf. Yeah, blind. Totally blind. All right. Okay, I'm going to get off. I've got other videos that I want to do as well today. But I wanted to go live as well because, yeah, for some reason I was trying to record that and kept cocking it up after 5 minutes. Thanks very much for all your help, everyone. Hopefully I can get more videos recorded and out to you for the rest of the day. Until then, peace, everyone. Take care, and speak to you soon.